Subscribers have asked for soups, so I'm starting to do a series on soups and stews, and starting today with this beef stew. Basically, I've already got a tablespoon and a half of flour mixed with a tablespoon and a half of water, roughly, into kind of a slurry, and it's been heating up for a little bit. I'm going to add the 1 can of beef broth and start stirring that up. So I added the beef broth and stirred it up a bit. It needs to be stirred up a bit more. I will run through the ingredient list here really quickly. It's 1 can of the Keystone beef, 3 cans of the whole potatoes. I'm going to have to cut those up into like quarters or even smaller. 2 cans of peas and carrots. You could use other cans of canned vegetables as you see fit. And a can of mushrooms. And like I said, the flour and water mixture with the beef broth. So there was the 1 can of beef broth as well. And then you might be wondering why I don't just heat up a couple of big cans of Dinte Moore beef stew, for example. And that's a good question. We might be able to see doing this what works out best. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do like a little cutaway in the center of this video that has a 1-to-1 ratio kind of normalized so that the quantities that you're seeing of each stew, the homemade shelf-stable stew versus the Dinte Moore, and I'll compare calories and price and quantity. So yeah, I'll be getting to that shortly, but in the meantime, I'm going to start mixing this stuff in there. So off camera, I scraped the remaining contents off the inside of that beef can. And now I'm going to add the carrots and peas and do the same thing, because some stuff gets stuck in there, so I'll scrape that out off camera. So off camera, I quartered the 3 cans of new potatoes after, everything that I put in here was drained, obviously, except for the beef broth. And so I quartered the potatoes, just, on a plate with a butter knife. And I added the can of mushrooms. I mistakenly didn't record that, but you can kind of see the mushrooms in there. There's one right here. But basically, yeah, that's really all that there is to it. We're gonna break up some of these beef chunks and get this thing simmering, and it should thicken up a little bit. But even if it doesn't, it's looking pretty decent just the way it is. So, all right, be back in a second here. So even if it turns out in this study that the Dinte Moore stew wins out over this in the cost per calorie, let's say, we do this because if you're stocked up and you've got this stuff already at home, this is something that you can make with the ingredients that you've got. So we're in January of 22 right now, and things are a little hard to come by at the grocery stores today. It's been that way for a couple of months now. So this is shelf-stable life here. If you've got Dinte Moore stew, go ahead and make that. If you have these ingredients, here's something you can do to kind of replicate that. And basically, I'm just going to let this keep simmering. It has thickened up quite a bit. But basically, the next thing that you're going to see here is the kind of cutaway comparison between this stew and the like a Dinte Moore or a Campbell's Chunky, something like that. So I'm going to get onto that here in a minute, and then you'll kind of see this finished product at the end. Other than that, please continuing to watch my channel and share these videos and support me, and like, subscribe, and share. Thanks.